اللهم صل على أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين وباعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على خاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين الرسول المؤيد والنبي الممجد المصطفى الأمجد أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما على الإمام المنتظر وحجة الله الثاني عشر ابن العسكري المنتظر ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فإن الله الصادق العليم قال في كتابه الكريم القرآن الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون صلوات Into the fourth night of our discussion on the topic of Imam Zamana and how we, in our capacity as being in the Zaman of the Imam, can then work towards those parameters that will entitle us to become part of the my way rather than the highway. And as I mentioned last night's lecture and tonight's majlis will form the component that will allow us to understand the bottlenecks that existed with individuals that were there at the time of Imam, and how certain individuals, yesterday we heard, benefiting from the company and the companionship of Imam, reached positions that you've heard. And tonight we need to understand, and we'll give examples of individuals who with the Imam, together with the guidance of the Imam, do not benefit, eventually lying in a place that the Quran says, وَهُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, perishing and languishing in the fires of hell. And this is the danger. So the first two majlises we highlighted the dangers. And you do realize with the shortage of time, I've had to cut down a lot of things. It needed to be expanded, it needed to be taken gradually, but we have to go quick. And so tonight we will discuss on a few instances certain individuals, and you will see how relationship, familial ties, domestic issues play no role in how a person develops in his relationship to the Imam. And last time here you heard last night, we talked about the four Nawab, four individuals who together with the Imam reached certain lofty positions with the guidance, with the teachings. They were not the only one who were there with the Imam. There were several other, but these individuals stand out amongst all the people to become the second best individuals on the planet after the Imam Zamana. But when we mentioned, remember the last time, the 4 naibs that we talked about, Uthman ibn Sa'id, Muhammad ibn Uthman ibn Sa'id, Hussein ibn Rawh Nawbakhti, and Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samuri. It was at the time of the second naib. We're looking at 2 flip sides of the coin, or the second side of the coin. It was at the time of the second naib, that is Muhammad ibn Uthman ibn Sa'id. The father has passed away, and now the son becomes the wakil, becomes the naib of the Imam. It was during this time that there were several, they were not, as I mentioned, the only one at the time who were good individuals, who were pious, but these were the most prominent ones, the best ones, and hence they get the priority, they get the eligibility to become the naib of the Imam. At the time of the second naib, there was another individual, a scholar, a faqih, a religious man, an alim by the name of Shalmaghani. Shalmaghani existed during the time of the second naib, and he was amongst those top tiers, you know, the top tiers. Like for example, even now when you have the mujtahideen, you've got the maraji, and amongst the maraji there's a second level, a tier lower to them, that if something happens to them, these are the individuals who are the next maraji. Like the time of Ayatollah Khui, marhum Ayatollah Khui was there at the time, Agha Sistani was there. But because of Ayatollah Sistani, Agha Khui being the marja, Agha Sistani is the second tier. So when Ayatollah Khui passes away, these people rise up and they become the marja. The same levels. Naib, the second naib, Muhammad ibn Uthman ibn Sa'id, this is his niyabat, this is his time, the Ghaibat-e-Kubra. Sughra is continuing, and now you have an individual by the name of Shalmaghani. Shalmaghani was the second tier. While he was an alim, while he was a scholar, while he was a faqih, while he was respected in the society, there were certain things, and there are certain things that remain in the heart, they don't come out till an opportunity presents itself. See, Shaitan, Azazil, at the time when he was training, when he was teaching the Malaika, he was a jinn. That kufr was still there. You heard what Sister Majabin just mentioned, when she mentioned that ayat, when he was asked, bow down, what did he say? He says, I'm not going to bow down. Quran comes and asks him, Allah comes and asks him. He says, why did you not bow down? Astakbarta kana min al-kafirin. That he did kufr, he did takabbur, and he was from the kafirin. Kana min al-kafirin. Say, sara min al-kafirin. See, there are words you need to understand. This is Quran. It's Aba wastakbara wa kana min al-kafirin. He refused Aba. He refused. Wastakbara. Exhibited takabbur. Wa kana min al-kafirin. Kana means was. He was from the kafirin. Normally in situations it should be that because he did not bow down before Adam, violating my rulings of bowing down, he did not pay heed, he disobeyed, so now he became kafir. Quran doesn't say Sara min al kafirin. He became from the kafirin. It says Kana min al kafirin. He was from the kafirin. Meaning what? That kufr was there in his heart even when he was Azazil. Even when he was Azazil, even when he was the Muallim of the angels, that kufr was there in his heart. The only thing was there was no opportunity for him to manifest that kufr. That kufr manifested when he was said, bow down before Adam. Kufr came out, kana min al-kafirin. Now you understand, he was from the kafirin. We put this out before you to show you his reality. Not became from the kafirin. So many a times we have within ourselves certain things. And this is what it is said. We talk about Pharaoh, we talk about Musa. Musa is there asking Pharaoh, become obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pharaoh refuses. Ana rabbukumul a'la. I am your Lord. First he says, I am your Lord. Then he says, Ana rabbukumul a'la. I am your greatest Lord. I am your biggest Lord. I am your most important Lord. That is why then people say, ulama say, when you criticize Pharaoh, be careful. Rawat comes us. When you criticize Pharaoh, be careful, because in the minds, in the hearts, within the inner dimensions of every individual lies a Pharaoh. The only thing is Pharaoh got an opportunity with his wealth and his money to show his power and stand up in arrogance against God. We don't have that kind of power. But if you and me were to have the same kind of power, it is not very unlikely that we would behave in the same way that Pharaoh behaved. But because we don't have that opportunity to show, we are not exhibiting that Pharaohniyat that is there within us. Similarly over here, Shalmaghani was there, faqih, alim, scholar in the time of second naib. Deep within his heart, while he was presenting a demeanor, a facade of religiousness, which he was. But within his heart there was this hope that after the second naib passes away, I will become the third naib. And that was his mindset. So he was working towards it. He wanted to succeed after the second naib and become the third naib. So when the second naib was getting ill, was very ill, he was under the impression, now after him, Imam is going to make me the naib. But when the second naib passes away, Imam supersedes him. See, Imam looks straight with an individual, doesn't look at the facade. You and me will look at the facade. Oh, this person with the big beard, big Maulana. This person with the big amama, big Maulana. For all you know, somebody with the topi is more learned and more muttaqi than somebody with the amama. Yeah, because we go by the facade. We want to go exterior. Imam looks at the interior. Imam bypasses him and says the third naib will be Hussein ibn Raw and Nawbakhti. When the second naib is going and the letter tawqi comes from the Imam that after you will announce that the naib after you is Hussein ibn Raw and Nawbakhti, which we mentioned last night. This Shalmaghani did not like it. When you don't like, you turn away. And he turned away, and how? He says, I'm supposed to be the one. I was expecting to be the naib of the Imam. The Imam has bypassed me. He's put Hussein ibn Raw. I'm going to go against the institution of Mahdaviyat. I'm going to go against Imamat. And that's what he did. He started acting in opposition to the teachings of the Ahlul-bayt. This alim turns away, this faqih turns away, this scholar turns away. Why? Because his entire hum and gham, because of his knowledge, because of his ilm, was to attain a position. That position, when it did not achieve that entire taqaddus, that entire religiosity crumbles down. His reality manifests itself. Same thing happened with Azazil. He had a lot of knowledge. He was teaching the others, but when he was asked to present himself in obedience to God, he refuses. That entire taqaddus, the fasad, the veneer, then collapses. Here again, it crumbles down and he shows his reality. He starts manifesting himself and acting directly against the teachings of the Ahlul-bayt. He would take the ahadith of the Holy Prophet, start making alterations within it as and how he would like. He would go to villages. He says, you know who I am? I'm the representative of the third naib of Imam Zamana. Trying to gain prominence amongst the people. He would take hadith. He would start doing things. He would start making up hadith, deleting content, adding content, making a mess of the hadith, just so that he could gain himself into prominence, to such a time that he began to claim that the ruh of the Holy Prophet, the soul of the Holy Prophet and Ali has now entered into his body. And this is how he wanted to show his representation. When this started to become too big, a letter comes from Imam Zamana to the third naib, because the second naib has passed away. He was supposed to expecting himself to be the third naib. He was bypassed. Hussein ibn Raw and Nawbakhti becomes a naib. He starts his mission contradicting the rulings of Imam. When it goes too far, Imam writes a letter to Hussein ibn Raw. This Shalmaghani has become a kafir. May the lanat of God be upon him. You need to talk to the people and tell them that this man is now distanced from my madhab. Somebody whom Imam-e-Zamana does lanat khalas. Somebody whom Imam-e-Zamana curses and says the lanat of God be upon him. This person has no excuse. This person cannot save himself. He tried to continue. Eventually things turned out, and this is how things turn out. When you go against the hujjat of God, that person is never going to be successful. This Umar Asad wanted Ray by killing Hussein. He kills Hussein in the hope that he will get the hukumat of Ray. Hussein is also killed. Hukumat of Ray also doesn't come in his hands. It doesn't work. This is how the God system works. This man wanted to gain prominence, goes against the hujjat of God. The very people who were opponents of the Ahlul-bayt, meaning Bani al-Abbas, they strike a wrong chord with Shalmaghani. The vizier of the Khalifa of Bani al-Abbas launches a manhunt for this man. He goes into hiding. He becomes a refugee. Eventually he's caught. He's put on trial. He's convicted. He is whipped. He is beheaded. Hum fiha khalidun. There you have these individuals who don't want position, who want to serve the cause of the Ahlul Bayt. They become the naib of Imam. There are certain individuals with the Imam, the guidance of the Imam, with the naib of the Imam, reach a position, hum fiha khalidun. You see the challenges that we are talking about. And we need to realize this position of the Imamah, this position of Mahdaviyyat, specifically Imam Mahdi. Specifically Imam Mahdi came to assume so much importance because of the traditions of the Holy Prophet. The Prophet before going says, when I go, a time will come which will be the Akhirul Zaman. That Akhirul Zaman will be the time of my Mahdi. Everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it. Everyone knew about it, and hence the Mahdaviyat becomes very important. And there were individuals before the Imam, during the Imams, before the Imam's ghaibat, and after the Imam's ghaibat, who misused this position or manipulated this position for their personal gains. As a result of which, again, they became entitled to hum fiha khalidun. A lesson for you and me: the same thing is going to come. He is going to come. Just as they faced him, we are going to face him. Just as certain individuals became successful, and certain individuals, as you just heard one, and you will hear a few more, these people got manipulated. They went out of the way to get worldly gains into the fires of hell. This is what we need to know. Tomorrow and day after, we will know what we need to do in order to get to that position where we fall into the group of my way as opposed to highway. But here, let me tell you, this Mahdaviyat became so important at that time, that people would start using it, abusing it, manipulating it for their own personal benefits. So there were individuals who claimed the Mahdaviyat for themselves. I am Mahdi. I am the Mahdi. And this is one of the signs of the Akhirul Zamana. As the time comes closer to the arrival and the reappearance of the 12th Imam, the riwayat say the false claimants to the Mahdaviyat, the Pseudo-Imams will increase. Every Tom, Dick and Harry will come. I am the Imam, I am the Imam, I am the Imam of the time. And today you see it. There are certain groups amongst the Shiites who have leaders who claim themselves to be the Imam, who claim themselves to be the Imam of the time. What will happen to them? We don't want to understand. We don't want to talk about it. But yes, these are just a few. Riwayat say, as the time comes closer to the arrival of the Imam, more Pseudo-Imams will come. More individuals falsely claiming themselves to be the Mahdi, they would claim themselves. And I will explain that one to you. But problem occurs when there are individuals who claim themselves to be the Mahdi. But the problem is, this is fair enough, they've got personal motives, they know there is a problem in my claim, but still, because they want position, because they want power, because they want money, because they want affluence, because they want fame, because they want some position in the society, they want to make this claim. Because the best way to make the claim is to claim yourself to be the Mahdi, because Mahdi is supposed to come. Let's use this criteria and spread ourselves in the community so that the people then use it to give us fame, deference, esteem, respect. But when this comes out, there's another group, and I'll come to this. But the problem comes is that individuals don't want, but certain other individuals claim that you are the Mahdi. One group is, I claim myself to be the Mahdi. Fair enough, because I know. The problem comes in our community, in the Shiite history, is when there were individuals who were good, and people either mistake them to be the Mahdi, or intentionally for their own purposes call them Mahdi. You know the case of in the time of the 7th Imam. See, this is a very interesting part of history, this particular segment that I'm talking now. It's a very interesting part of history as to how these sects have developed. I have probably delivered 45 lectures only on this. You know this hadith that talks about 73 sects? 71 sects amongst the Jews, 72 sects amongst the Christians, 73 sects upon the Muslims. Amongst these 73 sects, there is one firqa that is called Al-Firqatul Najiyah. There is one group that is going to gain salvation. All the other 72 groups amongst the Islam, amongst the Muslimin, are going to go to hell. 45 lectures on this one hadith, detailing out what happens out. One small part. In the time of the 7th Imam, you know what happens? When the 7th Imam passes away, there is a group that rises up. There is a sect that rises up. There's a cult that rises up by the name of Waqifiyya. Waqifiyya comes from the word waqf. Waqf, not the waqf that you give as trust. In Arabic, waqafa means to stop. That's why when you go to Arabic countries, here you have, when you want to stop, it says stop in red. In the Arabic countries, when you go for writing stop, they say qif. Qif means stop. Those who've been to Arabic countries, Dubai, you'll see this. Qif. Qif means to stop. Waqif means to stop, one who stops. Waqifiyya is the group that is stopping. Stopping means what? Stopping means stopping at the imamat. Which Imam? The 7th Imam. When the 7th Imam passes away, a group of people who were the wakils of the 7th Imam, they had a lot of funds at their disposal. A lot of individuals who had a lot of funds. When the 7th Imam passed away, he had told his wakils, look, whenever I pass away, all the money of khums that you have got with you, you need to give it to my son Ali ibn Musa, Imam Rida alayhi salam. Says you need to give it to him. These individuals turned rogue. They say, we've got so much money to give it to Ali. Not acceptable. We will do it. We will keep it. But how do you keep it? If Ali ibn Musa is the Imam, everybody says, return the money to him. The Imam who had given you the wakalat, He's dead, you need to pass the money back to the next Imam. So what's the best way? He says, stop the lineage of Imamat. So how do we stop? He says, spread the word. The Mahdi that the Holy Prophet had talked about is this Mahdi. Kadhim, Imam Musa Kadhim has not died. He has been raised and ascended to heaven just as Isa went to heaven. When the time comes and when the Mahdi is supposed to come, it is this Imam who is going to come. So this Imam has not died. Imamat is stopped over here. Imamat has become waqf over here. We have become waqifiyya. We stopped the Imamat. And the entire cult started by the name of waqifiyya, who said Imam Kadhim has not died. He has gone up into the heavens. He is the Imam Mahdi that the Holy Prophet has prophesied. He is going to come down in the Akhir Zaman to deliver the people and grant salvation. Because now he is not dead, and because he is raised to the skies, because he is the last Imam, so now the Imamat doesn't go to Imam Rida. If the Imamat doesn't go to Imam Rida, we don't need to give the money to him. See how personal motives and agendas work. We need to understand these are those pitfalls that have taken place. Remember what Ali said to Hassan. Hassan, understand from my experiences. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. I'm giving you all my experiences on a platter. Take heed from my experiences so that you don't fall into the trap that I've seen people falling into. You don't fall into those manholes that I've seen people falling into. Listen to what I'm telling you so that you start off afresh without reinventing the wheel. We've been told by the sixth Imam, understand, Allahumma ajil waliyak al-faraj is good. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajuhu sharif is good. But only good if you're prepared for what is going to happen. If you are not prepared to what is going to happen, and you could be into the line of not my way but the highway, then it is in your interest not to call Imam Zamana. Because if he comes and you and me find ourselves on the opposite direction, that is wawaila for us. Then we become ashkal ashqiya along with Ibn Muljim. And that is why we've got traditions that says, understand, when Imam is not coming when you are calling him. When the Imam is not coming when you are calling him, it is a grace of God upon you, because you could possibly turn against him and then eventually land up into eternal perdition. Certain individuals would not even know why they're being called. For example, Muhammad Hanafiya. Muhammad Hanafiya was called the Mahdi. Do you know that? Muhammad Hanafiya was the son of Ali, from a wife other than Fatima Zahra salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. This concept of Mahdaviyat from the time of the Holy Prophet. You think it is only after the time of the 11th Imam that Mahdi comes? Hapana, from the time of the Holy Prophet that Mahdi is hitting. He's saying there is this Mahdi who's going to come and then give us. Because the situations were very clear to everyone. Can you imagine 2 months after Al-Ghadir, people say we don't remember Al-Ghadir. Means what? 120,000 people in that plains. No water, no tree. You know, there was no tree, there was just one tree over there in Ghadir. No water, no tree, 120,000 people with all the formality that the Holy Prophet did. Ghadir took place for how many days? You know that? Ghadir took place for how many days? You think it was just that he came over there, Ya Ayyuha Rasulullah Balligh took place, and then he says, okay, those who have gone in front come back. Those who are behind, I'll wait for them. Set up a platform of saddles, and he says, Man kunta mawla fa hadha aliyan mawla, and khalas, and then they go back home. The whole concept of Ghadir, the whole program took 3 days. 3 days in Ghadir Khum they were there. The whole 3 days in that heat. People were saying, Riwayat say it was so hot they could not stand. They would keep moving their legs one after the other. It was so hot. 3 days the Holy Prophet says, stand over here. 2 months after this incident, people say we forget. We don't know. Did he say that Ali is man kunta mawla? We don't remember. Muhammad Hanafiya was called Mahdi from the time of the Holy Prophet. Muhammad Hanafiya was born after the death of the Holy Prophet. Let me tell you something about this Muhammad Hanafiya. So you know, at times because of la ilmi, because of ignorance, people follow a certain Imam. There's a problem. Muhammad Hanafiya was a very nice man. Muhammad Hanafiya was a very pious man. Muhammad Hanafiya was one of the very close confidants of Imam Ali alayhi salam. The only thing that you and me are not usually accustomed to hearing about him is because he was overshadowed by 2 sons. He was overshadowed, a moon that was under an eclipse of the sun. 2 sons, Hassan and Hussein. Hassan and Hussein, 2 sons. It's exactly like the case of Marhum Ayatollah Khoi. When Ayatollah Khoi was the marja of the time in Iraq and majority of the Islamic world. You think there were no other ulama, no other mujtahideen in Iraq? But his luminosity and his halo was so intense that everybody was succumbing in front of him. Same thing happened. Muhammad Hanafiya was a moon, but he was under the eclipse of two sons, Hassan and Hussein, and that's why you don't hear. But Muhammad Hanafiya, ajaba. Listen to this and then we move forward. People began to call Muhammad Hanafiya the Mahdi. This concept of Mahdi, pseudo-Mahdi, or people intentionally calling some others Mahdi, or some people because of lack of knowledge and ignorance calling Mahdi. Started from the time just immediately after the Prophet. This Muhammad Hanafiya was a man, you'll be amazed not to know about it. These are things you and me need to know about it. We say, oh, Muhammad Hanafiya was the son of Ali, and the idea is, okay, other sons of Ali, Hassan and Hussein, fair enough. Others, no. Muhammad Hanafiya. See, the name of the Holy Prophet is what? Muhammad. Listen carefully. Name of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. His title, Abul Qasim. Correct? That's what you keep hearing in the khutbahs. Muhammad, his title, Abul Qasim. This combination of name and title is haram on anybody to keep in this world. Riwayat say it is haram. Nobody can keep the name Muhammad and the laqab as Abul Qasim. It is a Shari'i dictate. It is haram for an individual, except for one individual. The Holy Prophet says this combination of the name Muhammad and Abul Qasim is only permissible by God for me and for Imam Zaman. Name of Imam Zaman is Muhammad. His kunyat and his laqab is Abul Qasim. Said only individual after me who's got the permission to keep this name and this title together, this laqab together, this kunya together, is myself and Imam Zamana, except for one more person, Muhammad Hanafiya. He says the only individual that I give permission after Imam Zamana to keep this combination of name Muhammad and the kunya of Abul Qasim is in addition to Imam Zamana is Muhammad Hanafiya. Muhammad Hanafiya was not even born when the Prophet had passed away. Before he passed away, he told Ali, there is a boy that is going to come to you from a wife other than my daughter Fatima. When he comes, his name should be Muhammad. You can give him the title Abul Qasim. Other than these two individuals in the history, nobody has got the permission to have these two combinations. This is Muhammad Hanafiya. People then, when they look at him, they say he's the Mahdi. He didn't want himself to be called a Mahdi. He was a servant of the family of Hassan Hussein, even to the time of Sajjad. At the time of Sajjad, he was the chacha. He was an old man, but he would always follow them. He would always listen to him. Even when you go further, there were individuals who were regarded as Mahdi. People, political thought process, would consider individuals and make them pseudo. They did not want it. Zaid. Zaid was a son, Zaid ibn Ali ibn al-Hussein. Zaid is the son of Hussein, of Imam Sajjad. And that's why he's called Zaid ibn Ali ibn al-Hussein. Imam Sajjad had a son by the name of Zaid. This Zaid, at the time of Bani Umayyah, because after the death of Imam Hussein, and Sajjad is the Imam for 35, 37 years, this was the time of Bani Umayyah. In the time of Bani Umayyah, this son of Imam Sajjad, Zaid, grows up, and he seeks to rise up against the Bani Umayyah. Now we don't want to go into detail. Did Imam sanction? Did Imam approve? Did Imam not approve? Was he granting an approval to say it or not? This is debate. Forget about it. But he did rise up against Bani Umayyah. He did launch a mission. He did launch a campaign. He rebelled against them. Fights took place. He was killed. Khalas. After he is killed, people say he's the Mahdi. After he is killed, people say he's a Mahdi. See, we need to understand these things. The reason I'm talking about these things is I want to hit some message home. There are certain problems in our community worldwide. And if we don't understand this is the problem that we will face. Look at the problem. The problem was immediately as soon as he dies, a group stands up. A group stands up saying, Zaid died, he's the Mahdi. He is the Mahdi, we will consider him to be the Mahdi. He will come again after his death. So, Baba, why do you consider him to be the Mahdi? It says because of one tradition of the Holy Prophet. So what tradition? That the Holy Prophet has a tradition. See, there are numerous traditions from the Masumin that have come that highlight and identify the alamat of the 12th Imam, signs of the 12th Imam, characteristics of the 12th Imam, traits of the 12th Imam. There are numerous traditions. One such tradition in which Imam mentions 3 characteristics of Imam Zamana. The Prophet mentions 3 characteristics of Imam Zamana. Listen to this tradition and I'll tell you where they go wrong, which is a danger for us. Now we do the same thing. The tradition says, he says, the alamat of my qaim, The alamat of the 12th Imam is one. إنه من ولد الحسين وأنه يخرج بالسيف وأنه ابن الصبية. In this tradition he mentions 3 signs. There are numerous traditions which talk about different signs. You can't have all the signs in one. Sometimes there's a certain talk process, there's a certain topic that is there, and then the Prophet says, similar thing is there when the Imam will come, when the Qaim will come. All the Masum have been talking about Qaim, from the Holy Prophet till the 11th Imam. Here he's saying 3 criteria, 3 alama, 3 signs of Imam Zamana. 1, he is from the min wuld al-Hussein, from the lineage of Hussein. The second sign is that he will rise up with the sword, yakhruju bis-sayf. He will come out with the sword. That means he will launch a military expedition. Third, innahu ibnu sabiyya. He will be the son of a slave girl. That means the slave girl will be married to one of the members of the family of the Ahlul-bayt, and he will be born. All of these 3 things become muntabik and become applicable to Zaid. Zaid was from the lineage of Hussein because he was the son of Imam Sajjad. 1. Second, yakhruju bis-sayf. The Holy Prophet has said, one of the signs of the alamat of Imam Zamana, he will rise up with a military campaign. Zaid stood up against the Bani Umayyah. And third, the Imam Zamana would be, in the words of the Holy Prophet, would be the son of a slave girl. Janab Narjis was a slave girl. Ittifaqan and coincidentally, the mother of Zaid was also a slave girl. So they pick up one hadith, they say, look, the Holy Prophet says, the Mahdi will be from the lineage of Hussein. Zaid is from the lineage. The Holy Prophet says he will rise up, he will raise up arms in a military expedition. Zaid stood up against the Bani Umayyah. And the Holy Prophet says the third sign in this tradition is that the Imam, the Mahdi, would be the son of a slave girl. His mother, Zaid's mother, is a slave girl, so he is now the Mahdi. This is what we do. What they fail to realize is that this hadith was qualified. This hadith had a qualification. This hadith had a condition, had a caveat in another tradition. That tradition which did not go through their eyes. What was their tradition? The Prophet says, Al-a'immatu min ba'di athna ashar. After me the Imams will be 12. Tis'atum min sulbil Hussein. 9 of them will be coming from the loins, from the lineage of Hussein. Tasi'uhum qa'imuhum. The 9th of the sons of Hussein will be the Qa'im. They didn't see that hadith. They didn't see that the Holy Prophet says after Hussein the 9th will be the Qaim. They picked up one hadith, saw it becoming applicable to Zaid, and they said this is now applicable to Zaid. The Prophet has given the alamat, so this Zaid is the Mahdi, we will follow him. It developed, it's morphed into a cult by the name of Zaidiyya, which even today you'll find in Yemen. Where do things go wrong? Don't you see a similarity in our community? Don't you see similar things taking place in our community? We pick up one English book with some translation, and we pick up that hadith. We see one tradition, we say, this is what Islam says. Don't we do it? Of course we do it. We pick up one translation of an Arabic book into English. By God knows who's translated it, who knows about Arabic language. He does the translation. I read the translation of one hadith, and then I said, this is what Islam says. Sheikh, what are you talking from the mimbar, Bana? Look at this hadith. Baba, the Zaydiyas did the same thing. They picked up a hadith, little realizing there were qualifications to the hadith. It had a qualification. There were certain things that needed to be done. But no, we want to do that. And this continued. And this is what happened. We need to be careful now. The same thing will come. Remember the first day when I mentioned, what did the 6th Imam say? It says, when إِذَا قَامَ قَائِمُنَا, when our Qa'im will rise up, istaqbala min juhal nas, he will face the barrage of an outrage, a barrage of ignorant people, ashadda mimma istaqbalahu Rasulullah, more intense than what the barrage that the Holy Prophet faced, the outrage that the Holy Prophet faced when he came up. And then you remember what the 6th Imam says. He says they would worship the stones and wood. But when my Qaim will come, the people will pick up the Quran and say, you are talking this, but we understand this from the Quran. So we are teaching him, the family members in whose house the Quran is being revealed. We will tell him, Baba, your interpretation is this, our interpretation. Look at this translation of Ahmed Shakir. This says this, you're saying something wrong. It's danger. We need to realize this. These are the dangers that we're going through. And we need to realize, if you're saying, Allahumma ajjil li waliyikal faraj, we need to be prepared for that faraj. Because if he comes and we are not prepared, then there's going to be a major catastrophe in our lives. Not just in this world, in the hereafter. Tomorrow, day after, a little bit of 1.5 majlis. On Chehlum, it's 30 minutes. Tomorrow will be an hour. We'll try to see as much we can do justice. But the point is that there are individuals who did not want to be claiming themselves to be Mahdi. But la ilm, ignorance. And that is why it is said, it is said when Imam is Zaman. See, this is, you keep wanting to talk and things keep coming into your mind and you don't know how much, and the clock just keeps going. Tell me in your mind, what is the opinion? And I'm asking you, honestly, don't answer me, answer to yourself. I want to ask you a question. In your opinion, what is your conception about the arrival of the Imam? That when Imam comes, what do you need to do? When that sound comes from the Kaaba that I need the Imam has arrived, now he needs your help. Not the first one in the month of Ramadan. The second one when we are supposed to go. What is our understanding? When the announcement will come, oh ma'ashar an-nas, oh people of the world, understand your Imam is now done, is reappeared. He needs you to come to him. What is our understanding? Our understanding is what? Okay, the moment you hear the sound, you need to rush out of the house. Incorrect. Incorrect understanding. See, these are those misconceptions that keep coming. We interpret the religion as we want it to be interpreted, not as the Ahlul-bayt want us to interpret. We've been told somebody who rushes like this are going to perish. You know why? Because before the arrival of the real Imam, Pseudo-Imams will come. Traditions tell us, sixth Imam tells us, listen, a time will come when the announcement will be made that your Imam has come. At that time, don't rush. Reflect. Look. Investigate. Once you realize he is the Imam, now rush. But આપણે શું છે? ખબર પડી અને તમે આપણા બચ્ચામાં પણ એ સંભળાવે છે. આપણે મદ્રસામાં પણ એ શીખવાડે છે. જ્યારે ઇમામ બોલાવશે તાબડતોબ ભાગોવાના, બધું મૂકો. PS4 મૂકો, બધું મૂકો, ભાગો. છઠ્ઠા ઇમામ કહે છે બાબા ના ભાગો, પેલા ચેક કરો બાના. Because before his arrival there'll be so many pseudo-imams. You don't want to rush and follow a pseudo-imam like the Zaidiyas did, like the Hanafiyas did, like the Waqifiyas did. Because if you do that and you follow them, the only place is one-way ticket to hell. But the misconceptions are there in our minds. Because this is how we've been taught about, this is how we've been brought. Now somebody comes over here and talks to the contrary. Say, every time we've been hearing there is only one sound. This sheikh comes and says there will be two sounds. Every time we've been heard, as soon as you hear the sound, you need to rush. This sheikh comes and says you don't need to rush. Same thing will happen when Imam comes. He wants to clear up the superstitions, the khurafat, the wrong things that have come inside. And people like me will say, Baba, this was there from the long times. From years we were doing this. You want to change the time of Niyaz from 9:30 to 9:40? Na chale bana, go back. Go back, નથી 10 મિનિટ તમે ચેન્જ કરો છો બના. ના બના, મારું પ્રેસિડેન્ટ પાસે હક નથી ચેન્જ કરવાનું. તમે ચેન્જ કરો છો, go back man. I have been told the પાછળ જે છે back benches are more acutely listening than the front benches. Normally we are told the back benches સ્કૂલમાં જે છે they are ઢીલા ઢીલા હોય છે, પણ અહીંયા I was told the back benches listen more rather than the front benches. Oh my president and front benches, no offense man. But this is what happens. The Mahdaviyyat becomes so important that people want to take advantage of it. And remember in the first majlis had said, see, this is just a joke, just to make things light, but we don't get distracted. In the first majlis I had said that the blood that flows in the veins is of no use. The fifth Imam has said, Wallahi, I swear upon God. Wallahi, by Allah, I swear upon God, there is no relation between me and God except that of taqwa. This love, this blood, this relationship, this falan, my family members, my this, my that has nothing in front of God. And today I will prove it. 11th Imam in the year 260 Hijri. This is the time when the Imam is now about to be martyred. Shahadat is just about to be closed. Listen to this tradition, how blood doesn't play a role. What plays a role is taqwa. What plays a role is obedience to the mission of the Ahlul-bayt. 15 days before the death of the Imam, 15 days, this incident takes place. The 11th Imam calls, in 255 Hijri, the 12th Imam is born. 260 Hijri, the 11th Imam passes away. 5 years is the age of the 12th Imam, Imam Zamana, when the father passes away. When the birth of the child took place, there was a member in the family of the Imam by the name of Ja'far. This Ja'far was the son of the 10th Imam, was the brother of the 11th Imam, and was the chacha of the 12th Imam. Understand, the son of the 10th Imam. He was the son of Imam Ali al-Naqi. He was the brother of the 11th Imam, because 11th Imam was also the son of the 10th Imam. And he was the chacha of the 12th Imam. This Ja'far, born in the family, surrounded by the Ma'sumeen, the father a Ma'sum, the brother a Ma'sum, and eventually the Bhatija, the nephew that is coming, is a Ma'sum. This person goes rogue. Can you imagine living in the house under the tutelage of a Ma'sum father, and in the company daily a sibling who's a Ma'sum? A person can go rogue. So what is this Sheikh Bana? What is this Sheikh when Imam comes? Can I not go rogue? This is what the 6th Imam says. Be careful, huh? Allahumma ajil li waliyik al-faraj. Make sure you don't go rogue. Look what happens. This man, Ja'far, with the father who's a Ma'sum, with the brother who's a Ma'sum, develops friendship with the people of the Darbar of Bani Abbas. He would keep visiting the Darbar. He would keep going there. He would keep getting entangled with them. Till the time comes, he completely goes astray. To such a level that 5 years after the wiladat of the 12th Imam, the ashab of the 11th Imam know, very small coterie, an elite group of the companions of the 12th Imam know about the arrival. Companions of the 11th Imam know about the birth of the 12th Imam, but the brother Ja'far is not told. The 11th Imam does not tell Ja'far that my son is born. It's kept a secret because Imam did not trust him. He was a mole of the Bani Abbas in the house of the 11th Imam. He would pick up information about the 11th Imam, the whereabouts of the 11th Imam, the issues that would be discussed, the money that would be coming to him, and pass it on to the Darbar of Bani Abbas. Imam did not have any confidence in him. So Imam would never tell him about the wiladat of the child. 5 years he did not know. This is like, you know what? In the house of a Ma'sum, but you go deviated. You see in history, this is not the first instance. Quran, Hadrat Nuh, his son, when he's about to drown, he's in the ship, he's about to drown, he turns to God and says, Baba, he's my son. You had promised that my Ahl, you will save him. Allah, he's dying, he's about to drown. Save him. You know what God says? Ya Nuh, innahu laysa min ahlik. He is not from your Ahlul-bayt, Musa, Nuh. He is not from your Ahlul-bayt. He may be your son, but he's not from your Ahlul-bayt. Ajab this is son che, chokro che, pan Ahlul-bayt mati nathi. This, you can't contest me on Quran. This I'm talking Quran now. It says, Innahu laysa min ahlik. He turns to God and says, Ya Khuda, you had promised my Ahlul-bayt you will save. He is my son. God says, Ya Nuh, these are another Quran I'm reciting. Ya Nuh, innahu laysa min ahlik. He's not from your Ahlul-bayt. Innahu amalun ghayru saleh. His deeds, his actions are not good. He's not from your Ahlul-bayt. He drowns. Same thing over here. In the house of a Ma'sum, you get a person like Ja'far. 15 days, so you understood. 15 days before the shahadat of the 11th Imam, Imam calls his servant by the name of Abul Adyan. Listen to this, and with this story will finish off. With this incident will finish off. But very important to understand what is happening. How people go rogue. This is what I want to highlight to you. 15 days before his shahadat, he calls Abul Adyan. He said, Abul Adyan, come here, I got some work. He says, yeah, Ibn Rasulullah, tell me. My servant, give me some work. He writes some letters and he gives it to him. He says, Abul Adyan, go to Madain. Go to Madain, a city in Iraq. Imam is in Samarra. Go to Madain, take these letters. Give it to these individuals. Once you have given them the individuals, the letters, wait till they reply to you. Once they reply, bring the letters back to me. He says, yeah, Khalas, I'm going. He says, wait. Understand now. When you go and you come back, it will take you exactly 15 days. From the time that you leave till the time you come back. It will be exactly 15 days. On the 15th day, you will come here. But when you come back to the city, you will see a difference. He says, what is the difference? He says, I would have died. I would have been killed, and you will see weeping taking place in my family. Because before this, prior to your arrival into the city, I would have been killed. Says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, what are you saying? He says, don't argue, just listen to what I'm saying. I don't have much time, listen. People are watching, we are under monitoring, listen quickly to what I'm saying. Go back, when you come back, you'll see I have died. This person now immediately says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, if you have passed away, who's the next Imam? Who is the next Imam after you? We need to know who the next Imam is. He says, the next Imam after you will be the one who will ask you for these letters that you get the reply for. The Imam had given letters, go to Madain, you get the reply, give it back. It says the individual who will ask you for the reply to the letters, he is my representative. He says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, we are talking about an imamat. People will come to me because I'm your servant. They will keep telling me, now that the 11th Imam is passed, who's the 12th Imam? Who's the next Imam? This cannot be criteria. Somebody else comes and asks me about the letters and I introduce him as the Imam. What will happen? This is too important. Zidni, enlighten me more, give me some more signs so that I'm certain. He says, second sign is that he will be the one, the Imam after me, is who will lead my prayers of my janazah. So he said, okay, I've got two signs. Can you give me some more information so that I'm absolutely sure that this person that I've identified as the Imam is actually the Imam after you? He says, he will be the person who will give you information about the contents of a bag. Now before Abul Adyan could ask, he wanted to ask, Baba, which bag are you talking about? I don't have any bag. What bag? Imam just said, third sign is when somebody comes, this man or this person, when he gives you information about the contents of a bag, he is the Imam. Imam turns, goes away. Abu Adyan is wondering, what bag? I don't have any bag. What contents? Confused, doesn't know what to do. Says, Baba, khalas, now Imam has said, let's see. He takes his letters, he leaves, but he's still worried. What bag Imam is talking? Who is this person who will recite the namaz-e-janazah? I don't know who's going to come and ask me about the letters. But because Imam had said, he takes off from Madain, goes to Madain. Who? Abul Adyan. Imam is in Samara. He goes to Madain, delivers the letter. Remains there for a few days, a couple of days, waiting for them to give the reply. When all of them reply to the letter given by the Imam, he takes those letters, brings them back. On his way back, as he's coming, the 15th day, as Imam said, the delay took place. Whatever happened, it eventually coincided with the 15th day that Imam Askari said. 15th day, you're going to come back to the city. On the 15th day, Abu Adyan enters the city. As he enters the city, he sees the city is in Kohram. There's a Goga, there's a huge outrage, there's a huge weeping. He says, what is happening? He goes to the house. He sees a lot of weeping coming from the house of Imam. He remembers, Imam had said, once you enter, you will see a lot of weeping coming from a house. So now he's expecting the worst. He goes and asks, what has happened? He says, you don't know? He says, no, I don't know. I've just come from Madain. What had happened? He says, 11th Imam Askari is passed away. Begins to weep. Now this is now Abu Adyan is narrating now. He's saying, as I was weeping, I saw Ja'far standing at the door, waiting and awaiting and taking condolences from the people. People would come to him and they would express their condolences. Ja'far, your brother has passed away. We express our condolences. Who is the Imam after him? Ja'far would point to himself, I am the Imam after him. I am the Imam after him. You know what is the title of this Ja'far? He's referred to as Ja'far al-Kadhab. Kidhb means lie. Kadhib means a liar. Somebody who lies too much is called Kadhab. Many times a person will lie only one, but that lie is so big that he's called a Kazzab. Ja'far lied once that I am the Imam, but that lie was so big that now he's referred to as Ja'far al-Kadhab. Yeah? He's standing at the door. Now Abu Adyan is narrating. He's standing at the door. He's taking the condolences of the people. When people ask, who's the Imam? Abu Adyan is saying, I see people asking, who's the Imam? He says, I am the Imam. So they would give him tasliyat for the shahadat of the 11th Imam and tabriq for the imamat of this next Imam, because he's the Imam. Says people would come. Now I remember the three signs Abu Adyan is saying that the 11th Imam had said. So I said, let me go to Ja'far. Probably he's the one, but in his mind he's narrating. He's saying, when I heard him say, I am the Imam, I'm thinking in my mind, if this man is the next Imam, wa alal Islami as-salam. Alal Islami as-salam, there's salam upon Islam.
Then he says, you know why? Because I saw him. He was accustomed to consuming alcohol. He would go into the bazm and he would sit into these congregations of Bani Labas, listening to music, playing, consuming alcohol, gambling. So if this man is the Imam, khalas, Islam is gone. He said, but let me test it out. 3 signs given to me by the Imam. I need to work it out. He says, I go to him. He says, Jafar, Tasliyat, your brother has died, Fulan, Fulan. He says, not a problem, not a problem. He says, who's the Imam? He says, I am the Imam. He says, hi, Abbas, khalas. Anything else you want to ask me? He says, no, just pray that, Allah forgives him, sins, whatever. Nothing. He comes back. He didn't ask him for any of those letters and the replies. So now he's satisfied. Hush. Now this man is not the Imam. But the problem still remains. Who is this next Imam? Now Abu Ladiyan is saying, everybody's coming, giving him tasliyat, giving him tabrik, going away. A person comes in the house. It says, ghusl is complete, kafan is complete. Now we need to recite namaz janazah. So they bring out the body of the 11th Imam. Abu Ladiyan is saying, I saw the body come out. The people, they were gathered there. There were people who loved the Imam. There were people, normal people of the city. And there were the spies of Bani Labas. All of them congregated over there. The body was laid out into the courtyard. Jafar comes with his rida. Very nice, very good appearance. Big Maulana, big Maulvi. He comes inside, is about to stand. As he is about to pray, Abu Ladiyan says, he is about to start the first takbir. Everybody standing. Says, all of a sudden, I don't know. But from somewhere, a small little 5-year-old child comes running. But when I see him, ajab, face is nurani, face is luminous, face is radiant. He comes to the prayer mat, but Jafar is about to say, tugs at his abba and pulls it. He gives a tug to his abba and gives it a tug and pulls it. Jafar turns and looks at the small boy. This boy tells him, Ya O my chacha, ana ahaqqu bis salat ala abi. I am more deserving of praying the salat upon my father. Move aside. Abu Adyan says, this Jafar was an old adult man. This 5-year-old boy comes and tells him, but the waqar, but the ubuhat of this boy was such that it left Jafar completely stunned. He could not say anything except to follow the commands of the boy. It was as if he had no way that he could oppose it. But here at this point, let me tell you. See, in Ilmul Kalam, in our fiqh, in our aqaid, there is one ruling we need to understand. And that ruling is that when a masoom dies, a non-masoom cannot offer salatul janazah on him. He cannot. It is not possible. When a masoom dies, the only person who can recite salatul janazah on him is a masoom. And the logic is simple. This man who has died is the best of the creation of God at that point on earth. Somebody who is inferior to him cannot pray namaz. Either somebody superior to him will pray, or somebody equivalent to him will pray. And this is one of the logic and the concepts of Raj'at. You know Raj'at, right? Raj'at is a phase after the arrival of the Imam. When Imam Zamana establishes his hukumat, at a time will come when all the Masumin will come. All the Imams will come back. Hussein will come, Ali will come, Hassan will come, Sadiq will come, Rida will come. All the Imams will come. First person to come, details we don't want to go. If I were to talk about Raj'at, 2 lectures, each hour and 15 minutes. We don't have that much time. So just suffice to understand, all of them will come. How they will come, what they will do, what are the details, you can read it up some other time, or we can Skype. Time nothing, Mari Pasa. This is just... But masala also, they will start coming. The first person to come will be Hussein. He will come before the shahadat of the 12th Imam, so that when Imam Zamana is martyred and is dead, somebody, a masoom, needs to be there to recite his namaz janazah. Either somebody equivalent to him or somebody superior to him. Hussein is superior to Imam Zamana. He will come, he will lead the prayer, but that is Rajat. That is Rajat. Here Imam Zamana, the 5-year-old boy, he says, Jafar, my chacha, you cannot pray over him. You don't have the authority. You're a non-masoom. You cannot pray salatul janazah on my father who's a masoom. It is only a masoom who will pray over a masoom. Move aside. Abu Ladiyan says, he tugged, he talked, the waqar, the ubuhat, the dignity, the tone was so stern. Jafar, an adult, could not stand up. He moves aside. The small boy comes up, recites salatul janazah. Before anybody knows, he's gone. Abu Ladiyan says, first sign accomplished. First sign, remember Imam Askari said 3 signs. One is when somebody would pray my salatul janazah. Sign number 2. Sign number 2 accomplished. Happy. Fire. But who's this boy? Where is this coming from? Where has he gone? Abu Ladiyan doesn't know. Said, let me wait. Let me wait. While everybody is picking up, now the Salatul Janazah finished. They pick up the body, take it to the Qabristan, take it to the graveyard, next to bury it. As they are taking, suddenly he sees this boy next to him. He says, Abul Adyan, give me those letters, the replies from Madain. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You'll have to recite one more time after I give you the third sign. Wait now. Second sign complete. What is the second sign? Second sign, Imam Askari says, my representative, the next Imam, will be the one who will ask you the letters from Madain. When the Imam-e-Zamana comes to him, he says, Abu Ladan, give me those letters. Those letters are my responsibility. I am the inheritor. Give it to me. As soon as he gives, all of a sudden he says, that boy is no longer there. I said, hush. Second sign complete. First he offered the prayers, and the same person has mentioned that give me the letters. He said, but what about that bag? What bag? Which bag? What contents? He says, I was worried. Now the third sign needs to be complete. In the absence of the third, I cannot attest that this boy is the Imam. I cannot attest this boy is the Imam. He is now waiting. He says, a day passes. Everybody is now coming to Jafar again. You know that Siyakanu Niyaz hoine, a hoine, te hoine, Fatih hoine, I don't know what was, Halim hatu, biryani tu, whatever hatu. But people would start coming. As they would start coming, they would start talking. All of a sudden, Abu Ladyan is saying, Jafar would be so seated. There were people around, because now he's considered to be the Imam. They're talking to him, they're having some, light banter, talking, this discussion in the center of attraction. The next Imam, Fulan. All of a sudden he sees Abu Ladyan, says, I see a caravan coming. And I could make out they're Persians. They're from Iran. So they come and they ask, we want to meet Imam Askari alayhi salam. He says, Imam Askari, but don't you know? He says, no. We've just come from Iran, from Qum we are coming. He says, Imam Askari is passed away. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. Imam is passed away, Fulan, Tasliyat, Fulan. Now who's the next Imam? So why do you need to know the next Imam? It says we've got certain wujuhat sharia, the khums we've got, sadaqah we've got certain gifts from people in Iran. We collect them together. Every year we do the same thing. We collect them together, then we come and we give it to the Imam. So we want to hand over the money to the Imam. Oh, money? That is the man, Jafar, not you, Jafar. So they go to Jafar. As they're sitting, Jafar says, yes, I am the Imam, give me the money. He says, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. He says, why? But you said that you had come to give the Imam the money. I am the Imam, give me the money. He says, no. He says, we have a rule. And this rule has been going on for years together. So what is the rule? He says, the rule is that whenever we would come, we would not give the money to the Imam. We would keep those baggages that we had with us, and we would tell the Imam, you tell us what is inside. Once you tell us what is inside, then we know that you are the correct Imam. We don't open the bags. We don't do anything. We just keep the bags in front. You have to tell us, one, which people have sent this. You have to tell us what is there. And you have to tell us each individual how much has been given, has sent. Once you tell us, then we know you're the Imam. We'll give it to you. Abu Ladyan says, I'm listening to this now. I'm listening to the third sign. He said, now I realized what the 11th Imam says, the contents of the bag. This is it. Whoever does this now, I'm certain that he's the Imam. He says, I was waiting to see what Jafar does. As soon as these individuals talk to Jafar, tell us, let us know what is there inside. Abu Ladyan says, I saw Jafar pick up his rida. Words of the riwayat. Pick up his rida. Stands up in rage. Infuriated. What do you think? أَتُرِيدُونَ أَن نَعْلَمَ الْغَيْبِ? What do you think? You want me to talk to you about the ghaib? Do you think we know the ghaib? What kind of questions you are? If you want to give the money, give the money. Are you trying to test me? Are you trying to do my imtihan? Like people do to us, right? Sawal puche, khabar padno, theta puche. But anyway, you want to ask me. He flies into a rage. Now Abu Ladyan is saying, this man cannot be the Imam. So now, when he could not answer, this is fair enough. We have taken an amanat from the people of Qum and Iran. We are going back and we'll return to them because we have not been assured that you are the Imam. We're going back. As they were turning to go away, a servant comes to them and says, wait. So he says, what is it? He says, my master is now going to tell you what are the contents of the bag. Abu Ladyan is watching. He says, who's your master? He points to a little boy standing in the corner. He's saying, in this bag there are 1,000 dinars. and the dinars are given by so and so person, so and so person, so and so person, so and so person. In addition to these 1,000 dinars, there are 10 dinars that are forged and fake, which you need to return it back to the people. In addition to that, there are certain letters given by so and so person, so and so person, so and so person, the information about the contents of the bag. When those people heard this, they said, this is exactly the contents that are there in the bag. Give this money to him, because now this is the Imam. Abul Adyan is watching. He realizes, sign number 3 finished. This 5-year-old boy is the next Imam. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. But then that rogue, you understand why I went to great lengths to explain this? Not only to emphasize to you that there is no story and honky-ponky going on. There are realities over here. Individuals who are not from the family can turn rogue. But there are individuals who are not from the family can become Salman minna Ahlul-bayt. You understand what is happening? Individuals not from the family can become from the family. And individuals from the family can become an outcast, can become Jafar-e-Kazzab. Then what he did, how he went and complained to the people, how he went and talked to the Bani Abbas till they came, they captured Janab-e-Narjis, she was taken to prison. That's a different story which we don't want to talk about. But this is what we're talking about. Why am I saying all this? Why am I keeping on reiterating and repeating? The fact that we need to understand is that while we are so desirous and so clamorous about wanting our Imam to come, it is beriddled with challenges. It has filled up his arrival with dangers. Not to worry, because he loves us more than your mothers and my mothers love us. But the fact is, we need to be prepared. All along we've been told, be prepared for his arrival. Sitting over here and eating and saying, I want my Imam to come, is not what we want. There are certain things inherently we need to change. Tomorrow and day after his madness, we will know about it. But understand, somebody, and you realize the significance of this, Jafar-e-Kazzab? Somebody the son of an Masoom, somebody the brother of a Masoom. See, you could say, if a father is a Masoom, there would be time when the father is busy, he would be in prison, fulan, he doesn't have access. But when you have 2 Masooms in the house, you're always with one or the other, specifically if it's a sibling. Yet a person can go rogue. Yet a person can be called Kazzab. Yet a person can languish into the fires of hell. But where do we stand? Where do we stand? We need to take this seriously. We need to realize there's a real challenge for us. Not take things so seriously. While it looks very hunky-dory that Imam will come, global revolution, we become part of it. Are we going to become part of it? Do you know there are 25 conditions that are required for an individual for us to qualify even to enter into that company? 25. Within me, I don't see even one. 25 conditions. If you have 24 and you don't have the 25th, you'll say, out, I don't want you. See, there were people who have stung the Imams before. There are people who have turned against the Imams. All those Imams bore with patience. This Imam says, you want to be into my group, I need these 25 things from you. You don't give me 25, you give me 24, you're not coming to me. You're not going to enter into my group. If we don't enter into that group to our peril, to our detriment, let's not be another fallacious argument that everything is going to be easy when he comes. It is going to be easy for those. He's going to be very strict because people have turned back. Over here, he wants individuals like whom? Like the 72 people of Hussein. He says, I want those people. My mission I'm going to complete. I don't need your help. I alone am enough to spread this global revolution by the authority that God has given to me. I'm giving you an opportunity to enter into my camp so that your akhirat can become solved. I don't need you. And this is what it is. See, this what happened in Karbala was not a joke. This companionship is an amazing thing. It can lead you to where? It can lead you to where? Those individuals who left Imam and those individuals who were with Imam. Those individuals who sacrificed, who made themselves to be equivalent, to be eligible to enter into the coterie of Imam Hussein. You know what happens? The 6th Imam says, Abi anta wa ummi. May my father and my mother be sacrificed upon you. You think that's an ordinary sentence, huh? See, when there's an Imam Masoom, and you tell him, Be abi anta wa ummi, may my mother and father be sacrificed, an inferior individual talking to him, Imam Masoom is understandable. This is what we keep saying in Dua Nutba, Be abi anta wa ummi. Nafsi lakal wiqa, my soul be sacrificed for you, my father be sacrificed for you, my mother be sacrificed for you. It is very understandable for an inferior individual to talk to a masoom. But when a masoom turns and talks to an inferior individual and says, may my father and mother be sacrificed for you to the Shuhada Karbala, it's Qayamat, I'm telling you. Shuhada Karbala, that's what Imam Sadiq says. Be abi anta wa ummi, a masoom saying. But because of the efforts, because they had made themselves, and this is what we need to understand, this learning, listening, majalis, matam, it's not just to have it a show and go away. Oh, we're satisfying ourselves. Oh, apne jeche azadari kari nahi kha. There's a reason behind this. Prepare by means of what you see for what is going to come in the future years, which is Imam Zaman. We don't know. He could come in the next 1 year. Are we ready? Are we going? Do we have those qualities? 2 qualities tomorrow, probably next time when we get another opportunity. But you think this thing that took place in Karbala was an easy thing for everybody to bear or anybody to bear? Sajjad, for 37 years after the incident of Karbala, 37 years, whenever his eyes would fall on water, he would start crying. Whenever a servant would bring him water for wudu, he would start crying. Whenever he's going on the road, he would see a small child, he would be thinking of Sakina, he would start crying. And this relation of the Shahadat of Hussein is so intricately linked to animals. And I'll tell you why. Ajab this. You listen tonight. It's linked to animals. Sajjad, whenever he's going on the streets of Medina, after he returns back, whenever he's going, he would see this butcher. There were butcher shops in Medina, lining up the streets. Whenever he would see one of the butchers getting ready to slaughter an animal, he would tell him, hello, listen, wait for a minute. When he would see, the butcher would see Imam coming, he would fold his hands, Yabna Rasulullah, what is it? Have I done something wrong? He says, no, you've not done something wrong. I just want to ask you, are you taking this animal to be slaughtered? He says, yes, I'm taking this animal to be slaughtered. He says, no problem, you can take him to be slaughtered, but just let me know, did you give him water? Did you give him water? He would fold his hand and says, I follow the Shariat of your grandfather. It is mustahab to give water to an animal before killing. This animal has been given water before I will slaughter. As soon as he would hear, Sajjad would turn towards Karbala. Wah Husaina, oh my father, animals are given water, but my father was not given water. Animals are killed and not in a state of thirst. My father was killed. Achana. Ajab situation this is. In the time of Athima, and listen to this and then we finish the Masahib. In the time of the Athima, he had a companion by the name of Ibn Shabib. Imam is telling him, Imam Rada is telling him, Ibn Shabib, O son of Shabib, understand, in kunta baqiyan, if you ever want to cry over someone, fabki alal Hussein, cry over Hussein. Ibn Shabib, whenever you feel you want to cry over someone, the first person you should cry, the most deserving is Hussein. If he had stopped, he would have understood. Okay, family relation, his grandfather Hussein has died, the grandson is feeling sad, so he's telling him, okay, cry because what has happened. But the Imam does not stop here. He gives a reason. He says, Yabna Shabib, in kunta baqiyan, if you want to cry, fabki alal Hussein, cry over Hussein. Then he says, you know why? فَإِنَّهُ ذُبِهَ كَمَا ذُبِهَ الْكَبَشِ. He was slaughtered just as an animal is slaughtered. You heard about this. We are talking about Imam Raza. This Imam Raza is a natural outcome, a natural consequence, a natural extension of Nubuwwat. Nubuwwat means the holy prophet. The prophet about whom the Quran says, Ma yantiqu anil hawa in huwa illa wahyun yuha. This prophet doesn't talk anything except what we tell him. This imamat is an extension of Nubuwwat. So what Imam Raza says has a reality. It is something that has been given to him by God. He is telling Ibn Shabib, listen, you cry over Hussein because he was slaughtered like an animal. I want to ask you, what was the need to talk about an animal? What was the reason that he said he was slaughtered like a sheep? Where does the sheep come? Where does the animal come? This is a man who is now representing the Holy Prophet talking. So there has to be some reality. I don't know. One thing comes to my mind. In the Indian subcontinent, not over here, but those who have been to the Indian subcontinent and into Africa, you know that when an animal is killed on the road, when an animal is killed on the road, he's being slaughtered onto the road, people that are passing by never turn and look at the animal. Never look, it is such a casual thing that takes place. Animal is there, the legs are being tied, Bismillah wa billah, and the throat is slit. Nobody turns and looks and gives a second glance to the animal that is being killed. But assuming that in place of the animal, a human being's legs were tied and he was being slaughtered, everybody would gather. Are Baba, what are you doing? He is a human being. You can't slaughter him in the middle of the road. You can't kill him like this. Imam Raza says Hussein, when he was killed, it was like an animal. Nobody even bothered to tell Shimr, hey Shimr, what are you doing? This is not an animal that you are killing. This is the grandson of the Holy Prophet that you are killing. No, there were two individuals who did raise a voice. Either it was the mother of Hussein who kept saying Wah Husaina, or it was the sister of Hussein, Zainab, Wah Kha, oh my brother Hussein, had I not been alive to see you killed. فسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون ألا ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. Mahdi Hussein.